Hunter Season 2 Review. Ambitious storytelling and charismatic cast carry series. Hunters is a show that contains multitudes. It will impact audiences in many ways because it's a show that is at times absurd and at others harrowing. Had a swift and immediate impact when it first arrived in 2020. With a cultural reckoning and white nationalism being alive and well in America and abroad, Hunters premiered with guns blazing, and it was right on time. Unlike the feel-good satirical romp Jojo Rabbit, Hunters was a raw demonstration of fiction effectively critiquing, calling out, and acknowledging past and present issues regarding white nationalism in the U.S. The alternate historical show was designed to make noise, and its second season aims to do the same. To recap, after the murder of his grandmother, Jonah, Logan Lerman was inducted into the secret group of Nazi hunters set on eradicating the Fourth Reich. Meyer, Al Pacino, Jonah's surprise grandfather and mentor, proved to be someone else entirely. Sister Harriet, Kate Mulvaney, is shown to be playing a bigger game with an unknown boss. Joe Louis Ozawa has been kidnapped and brought to Argentina, coming face to face with Hitler himself. In Hunter Season 2, Jonah and his fellow hunters are in for a new, dangerous, twisted game of cat and mouse. The mission is clear for Season 2: bring Hitler to justice and destroy the Fourth Reich before it ever gets off the ground. As most second seasons go, Hunters is no exception when it comes to going down the bigger and louder route. Hunters has gone international, with the hunt for Nazis sending the characters to places that historically have been safe havens for Nazis after World War II. This includes Argentina, Hitler and Eva Braun's hideout with their army of well-ingratiated Nazis. The titular characters feel the pressure. This can very well be their last big hurrah together, because they have been largely solo for 2 years since the Season 1 finale. One of the critical things that Hunter Season 2 brings into full force is Meyer. This writer loves Al Pacino as much as the next person, but there comes a point where Hunters cannot reasonably justify resurrecting his character. With a core ensemble of 8, Meyer and his arc throughout Season 2 are almost all-consuming. Disappointingly, while the writer's purpose is to flesh out the foundation of the story that began with Jonah's grandmother's murder, Ruth, Jeannie Berlin, gets a significant arc alongside Meyer's. There is not much gain from this endeavor. With Season 2 being the final installment of the short-lived series, one has to wonder if it was wise to spend considerable time fleshing out a character who doesn't impact the choices and actions of the protagonists in the present. Lerman is given the material he deserves. The actor has long been a staple in films with a solid fan base at his heels, and Hunters recognizes the skill and talent that has helped him sustain a career that many young men would kill for in Hollywood. Jonah's arc, much like Millie Morris, Jerrica Hinton, revolves around the struggle to do what is right in the face of losing one's humanity. Jonah and Millie are somewhat on opposite sides of the same end of the spectrum, with characters like Sister Harriet and the newly introduced Shava, Jennifer Jason Leigh, on the extreme end, as they have largely forsaken their humanity for their righteous cause. There is a very interesting dynamic with this cast that Lerman anchors with his sturdy performance, but these character stories are somewhat shortchanged by Meyer taking up considerable screen time. One of the common critiques of Hunter Season 1 is that the hunters themselves have limited character exploration, and sadly Season 2 is no different. Joe, Roxy, Tiffany Boone, Mindy, Carol Kane, and Lonnie Josh Radnor are the least developed. Millie still holds on to the co-lead mantle, but just barely. And the introduction of Clara, Emily Rudd, Jonah's love interest, is a waste as she merely exists to remind him of his humanity. A role a character like Mindy could have filled, considering her loss and conflicted nature. The show fails to use its ensemble to challenge each other in exciting ways. While it is hard to say that there is absolutely no growth or change, It is harder to say that anyone gets the same level of care as Jonah and Meyer, and the latter is deceased. In the effort to create thoroughly horrendous threats with the surviving Nazis, there comes a point where one wonders why any screen time is dedicated to them when their vile, hateful nature has already been explored. All that is needed is the poetic justice that comes for Hitler, which is not a spoiler, cause how can hunters conclude without getting Hitler? All told, fewer Nazis in pop culture is preferable, and Hunters doesn't quite get that they are not what brings in an audience. It's the characters who stand against them that require time and attention. Hunters Season 2 is a glorious, gory spectacle that pushes the envelope in more ways than one. The series does a great job reeling viewers in with a story that is equal parts a revenge fantasy, conspiracy thriller, alternate historical fiction, and in its own unsubtle way, an exposé of the present day. With a mix of genres, Hunters is a top-notch period piece that embraces the pop culture sensibilities of the 70s. With extreme violence and comedy being the critical forces at hand, Hunters is a show that contains multitudes. It will impact its audience in many ways, because it is a show that is at times absurd and at others harrowing, with one significant scene in Season 2, Episode 6 honing in on series creator David Weil's greatest goal. Weil's ambition was to create a show with Jewish heroes front and center. These heroes have their Jewish identity and heritage portrayed positively. It's their source of hope and their greatest weapon. Faith is a superpower. And for better or worse, Weil sees to it that this message is clear. Hunters has always been a precarious balancing act. In the end, it achieves most of its goals. But as the final scene rolls through, there is a helpless feeling that there could have been more, that Hunters could have had a more resoundingly satisfying conclusion. The thing that will perhaps haunt this series' legacy is its inability to craft fully realized characters. For all its faults in the writing and pacing, the show still has an impact. It's at times exciting and thrilling, and at others a sobering reminder of the cost of the Holocaust. Vibrancy is challenged by darkness, and darkness is overtaken by light. Hunters is a roller coaster that pushes the audience's emotions in various directions. That is reason enough to give it a somewhat lasting impression.